Hello, and welcome to Chapter 4 of my PICA Spitfire Mk IX build. I had hoped to have another chapter of my SPAD 13 build. Unfortunately, the weather has taken a bad turn for the worse. It's much too cold to work in the garage. So we will continue on with my old Spitfire build. This next series of pictures were taken while I was aligning the wing to the fuselage and the tail feathers as well. For size comparison, the 4-foot level immediately below the nose of the Spitfire can be seen. I used this extensively to make sure that the wings were level in relation to the fuselage. Just as important as the wings being level was also the dimension from the wingtips back to the tail post to make sure that the wings were on square. Once I was satisfied with these measurements, the wing hold-down bolt holes were drilled and tapped. Of course, with the wing now attached to the fuselage, it was time to put the tail feathers on and see what that was going to look like. These were just pinned on temporarily, but it did give me an opportunity to check to see how much work was going to be involved for the alignment. And it looked like it was going to be pretty good, so I was quite pleased with that. Another thing became quite apparent during this exercise. This is a rather large airplane. It pretty much filled up the floor space of my man cave. Well, everything is built now, so now it's time to move on to the covering. I had decided that 3/4 ounce fiberglass cloth would be my covering of choice, and also different procedures were available to adhere this to the structure. I settled on using the Deluxe Easy Coat. This process had several advantages over the epoxy type of attachment. One that I especially liked was that it was non-toxic. One that my wife particularly liked was the fact that there was no smell and no fumes. Once I started to use this product, I became aware of another attribute. It was really easy to use. Overall, I was very pleased with the combination of the 3/4 ounce fiberglass cloth and the Easy Coat. It made the job very easy. I guess that's a pun intended. You will notice that the wing is one piece during this covering process. I elected to cut the wing after this process was done. Around this time, the new fiberglass nose bowl showed up, and it was time to start fitting that. This fitting went smoothly, and you can see how little of the engine is actually visible at the bottom of the cowling. I don't know what I was thinking of at the time, but as you can see, I installed the side screws in the cowling, something I said I wouldn't do. Later in the project, these holes were filled in and I eliminated them. This next picture is of the cutout that I installed at the bottom of the firewall. This was installed to help with removal of heat from that tightly cowled area. At this time, spring was in the air, and it was time to move the project out into my garage workshop. Here I started the installation of the wing fillet, which is made of plastic, as you can see, and also any imperfections on the fuselage, touched them up with some spot putty. The fin and stabilizer fairing block was installed and sanded to shape. It would be obvious at this point that the stabilizer and fin have been permanently epoxied to the fuselage. This next picture gives a good view of the stabilizer and fin alignment to the main wing and the fuselage. It came out quite nice. These next three pictures really show that the model is starting to take shape. It's really starting to look like a Spitfire now. With the fuselage all filled and sanded, it was now time to put the 3/4 ounce fiberglass cloth on. The more I used the Easy Coat system, the more I liked it. It was a joy to use. With the wing and fuselage completely fiberglassed, it was now time to work on the wing fillet. Here, the plastic rear wing fillet has been attached to the fuselage. The front portion of the wing fillet was filled in with balsa wood blocks. Here is the bottom rear fillet that, as you can see, was faired in with the balsa sheets. A fair amount of time to get this right, but the results were worth it. Another view of the bottom, looking from the front to the back. With the bottom completed, it was now time to tackle the front section. After masking off the wing and the fuselage, the balsa blocks that were installed were rough sanded to shape. With that completed, I mixed up a batch of 30-minute epoxy and micro balloons to do the finishing of the front fillet. This process worked out fine, and in no time I had some really nice smooth wing fillets. There was some minor sanding to be done, but with the wing fillets with the micro balloons, very easy to sand. One area that did give me a little trouble was under the chin, but I guess keep at it, and eventually it was acceptable as well. Here I have brush sanded the fillets to shape, added a little bit of spot putty where required, and then sanded that, and now they look like they're ready for paint. With that completed, it was now time to move on to the step that I had been mentally dreading for some time. It was time to separate the wing pieces. Like most things in life that you dread, this turned out to be surprisingly easy, and in no time they were cleanly separated and basically ready to be painted. Well, this is a wrap for another chapter. I hope you've enjoyed this chapter, and I hope you're enjoying the series. If so, hit the like button, and by all means subscribe so you don't miss any more updates. Thank you,